today we're going to talk about some important things for the general event and how events work, and then we're going to go over to some more technical things or the tools that we use to do our job. So point one in our agenda today is event etiquette, and the word etiquette kind of just defines like all the how we relate to and how we perform at an event. And I've written some points for you, but I'll keep adding a couple more as we go along. So the first point in how we are to perform at an event is often related to how we communicate with a client. So when it comes to talking to clients, there are some things we've learned from previous experience, and also some things which are more common sense, which I'll just be repeating just for the sake of repeating it. Point one is always I think really what defines if we will have a good day at the event or not is our arriving on time. So if we arrive punctual, and we have a rule to arrive 1.5 hours before the event at the location, that affects a lot of what we do. If we arrive later, we'll probably become a little bit more stressed and also have less time in case of something unforeseen happening. The second point is we've defined some practices, best practices, to make sure that we have a good communication with the client, and it goes into this client communications part, and it's related to the points of contact that we have. So before an event, Fotobahn will handle all the planning and all the logistics of your time at an event, but on the day of the event, it's your responsibility to be in contact with the client. And so we've defined a point of contact when you leave the office here with your gear, or if it be anywhere else where you have your gear stored. You are then to call the client or the contact person on the event. So call the call contact person upon departure. That means when you packed your car and got your gear ready and you're sitting there, take a moment, call up the client and say you're on your way. And we have some things that we would like you to ask for and to check before you depart. First of all, check where you're going. Despite us doing some quite meticulous work or some hard work to define, like make sure that every detail is correct, it is sometimes that the client will have misinformed us about the whereabouts of the event, or not given us good enough instructions for your easy access to the venue, the place where we're going to have it. Before you depart for the event, we also want you to check a couple of things that will make your life easier later. What we require from the client for you is that they provide us with one bar table, also known as ståbord in Norwegian, and one normal table. And we also ask if they can provide tablecloths. So these are some things that we need them to provide you, and also you need power, so strøm, power, socket, and placement, so where you're going to be standing. These things are essential for you to be able to do your work, and so this point of contact with the client in the start may be a good place to ask for these things, and just to clarify that they have thought of them and that they have them ready for you, but it might also not be. You need to assess whether this is the right time. Sometimes, if you call someone, they may be very stressed and be in the middle of something, and they cannot give you any more information. We also have some tips as to, and later I'll talk about that, some tips about these things that can also be done differently depending on what kind of an event you are at. You also want to see, so these, check where you're going, ask if the things that you need are ready, and if they're not able to answer your question, don't worry, you can do it when you arrive. But this may save you a lot of time if they prepare this for you in advance. They are informed by us in the contract, and also when we talk to them, we tell them these things are necessary, but the person you talk to when you're going to the event may be a completely different person than the person who is actually booked us. And we'll talk more about that. What kind of people are you going to meet when you do an event, based on the kinds of events we do. So check that. Also, if possible, if the person that you're calling is helpful, you may ask, is there any good parking spots? Like, how can I park? Parking is something we often can spend either a lot of time finding, or it may also be then readily available at the location you're going to. It's just you don't know about it. So if they have some tips to parking, that's great to know. Great. And if you're outdoors, if your event is supposed to be outdoors, it will be marked in the event, but please just check if it's going to be outdoors. Check that the person there knows that you need to stand under a roof. We cannot be in the open because of both sunlight and because of if it should rain or something. So check that that is taken care of. Yeah. So in client communications, this is the first point of contact you will have with a client. And it's probably one which will be very brief. This talk only takes you a minute or two. And then when you have cleared this, you should be then heading off to the event.